some of the principles that I think are important, but then just throw it at you and you add to some things. The first principle I'm going to add is something about ethics. Some people don't realize, but as they start exploring this stuff, they actually get better at influence. I know that's the purpose of it, but some people don't realize that it's actually working, and they begin to influence not everybody, but they influence some people more. And I think it's important to realize that as we get better at influence, we also have a responsibility of where we lead people to. So I don't want to over-reg it, but as I say, we don't want to influence people to do things that's not in their interests, because they'll sort of come back and hit us. I'm sort of joking about it, but there's a touch of seriousness I find through the whole thing. So there's something about be aware that if you practice it, you might actually get good. And you might actually get good before you realize it. and I've had enough stories of this that I'm not making it up. The second one is the power of ambiguity. I find it really fascinating. There are times that we want to be absolutely precise. If you're designing an airplane, when you screw it together, you don't want it to fall from the sky. So you want to be precise about it. But there are other times you want to stimulate people's creativity. And if you use ambiguous language, you're sort of forcing them to fill in the bits. And in many cases, the answers they will come up with will be better than the ones you've got. So ambiguity to me is something, the use of ambiguity in the right place, because it creates creativity. Something else is the concept of pacing and leading. That sometimes the way to get people to follow you and do what you say is to become like them and then lead them. It's almost you I may not be using the perfect words, but you accept people for who they are. You join them in their map. And then when you've joined them in their map, it's much easier to move them somewhere else. And of course, there is a concept in real life that anything that happens, we can use. Even things we don't like, even things that are amazingly inconvenient. There is something about the mindset saying, whatever happens out there, we can find a way of using it. So, John, can I throw it to you? Just some of the principles that we learn in hypnosis that are just useful for people generally.
Yeah, sure. The ethics one is really, 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 really important because, again, and you put it really well, Michael, you can be very good at something and not realize how really good you are.
Yes.
And helping people, and then inadvertently influence them somehow. If you take a look at all the things that have occurred at other times in history, where cults, they would program groups of people even, and things like that. That stuff is real. It's not just hypnosis. There are other things, of course, that they would use, but including what the people were allowed to eat, what they were drinking, things like that. But the fact of the matter is that person who would engage in that thing in order for them to get other people to generate behaviors for the person who's doing that hypnosis, if that's what it is, they don't have good ethics. So that definitely is important. And then the other thing is, it's not just words and everything. Everything that you do as a communication is an intervention. And I teach our people this one because we teach practitioners, we teach trainers and things. I'm going to say it again. Everything you do is an intervention, whatever it is. And the other thing is that, and if you don't think that you're I don't care how you grew up, if you don't think your mom had you hypnotized in a lot of ways, then you missed her hypnosis skills. For example, like if I stepped out of line, Mom would look at me in a certain way, and I knew that look meant, okay, time to stop that silliness. And if I didn't do that, I get another look. And that look meant, this is your last warning. But there were no words. She didn't say, okay, knock it off. They just looked at you. You were in company someplace, or wherever you were. And so even without realizing that's what they're doing, they do realize that they're doing this to get a certain effect. So everything that we do is an intervention. So my question is that hypnosis or not hypnosis? It's everything that we do. Sometimes people will make a particular look on their face,
Yeah.
but that's because they want to communicate something. Everything. I cannot overemphasize that. We're not even aware. There are sounds we're not aware. You guys and gals will know about this one. You walk home, you came home, you got home late one night, and there's your significant other in the house, and they go, where'd Ben? You go, I had to work late. And they go, mm-hmm. Oh, you know what that means. That means later on, So even the sounds we make are a communication. And we can manage people. I worked with a guy. He was a vice president, human resources, and he was my boss actually for a while. And he would sometimes just look at somebody and kind of step up like that, move back, and then just kind of go like that, and it would a look on his face. But for some of the people in the department, they took that as he didn't care. And I thought, no, I know this guy. He does care. He doesn't know what to say, and sometimes he doesn't know what to do. But his communication was he just doesn't care. That's what they picked up from him. There's a whole idea about all of these things. But the important part, you're a manager in a company, or you manage people, or if you're a parent, whatever. I mean, it doesn't matter to me. Everything you do is an intervention. Every little move you make, every communication is an intervention of some sort, which means you're applying something, whether you know it or not, into what's going on in that interaction between you and the other person or people.